Well, I want to share some memories about my racetrack days and how it all began. My dad had thoroughbred race horses when I was a kid. My earliest memories were sitting on the cupboard and looking out the window, anxiously waiting for the lights to appear, knowing that they'd be coming home from the sports day with the race horses, and just wishing that I could be there too. I wanted to be part of it all. So when I was 5, Dad bought us a pony. I can still see him to this day, standing in that chicken coop. His name was Dooley. Beautiful little white pony. Little beautiful white, mean-spirited pony. He would take great delight in biting the bit. He'd work the bit till he got it outside of his teeth, and then he could just run as hard as he wanted to with you, wherever he wanted. So Dad would take the horses out to the racetrack and have the jockey ride the horse he was training. I'd ride behind on Dooley. We'd go the 2 rounds around the track and I'd be coming behind on Dooley. They would stop and walk back home. Not Dooley. He would race off that track and go as hard as he could all the way to the barn, dodging farm equipment, sheep, trees, whatever was in the way. Sometimes I didn't get there with him. But I loved it, and I just wanted to be part of it all. So, by the time I got to be 11, I think Dad figured it out, that if I could ride that pony, I probably could ride a racehorse. So at 11, I started riding, and I was scared. It was a scary experience because there was a lot of speed involved, a lot of falling, a lot of hurting, a lot of excitement too. And my first race was in Duck Lake on a horse called Friendship 7. Now we were so far behind, most of the people thought the race was over, so they started running across the racetrack. And when we came around the curve there, my horse saw that, and he quickly ran into the inside of the track, and I fell off on a chuck wagon pole. So I remember that really clearly. So there was a lot of fear. I was scared a lot of the times, and sometimes it was a disaster. Sometimes you won. Sometimes it was not so good. But overall, I didn't want to quit. But all that changed on July 1st, 1971. Now, Daddy had a special horse. His name was Little Fire. I mean, all of his horses were special, but this one was a little different. Little Fire was so calm. And Dad, before he passed away, Dad would say what an honest horse he was. Not a fast horse, nothing else, but what an honest horse he was. So that day, July 1st, 1971, we arrived in Maidstone, Saskatchewan for the race meet. Unloaded the horses, put them in the stalls, and Dad was so anxious to go and see the competition. So off we went, and there were 2 there from the recognized racetracks. They were registered thoroughbreds, meaning that they raced competitively for big money. Their names were Lane's Best and Another Indian. Another Indian was a huge steel gray horse, just absolutely gorgeous. And Dad, no problem, he said, Little Fire can take him. And he said it loud enough for other people to hear. And I just remember being so nervous because I thought, what happens if I make a mistake? So it's the first time I ever got to ride Little Fire, because usually Dad had a boy jockey ride him. I hadn't proven myself yet, apparently. But that day there was no boy jockey. There was me. So as we were getting ready for the race, Dad told me, you won't need a pony person to take you to the starting gate. He'll walk all by himself. I was amazed. Could hardly believe it. And he told me, just tap him once at the 5/8 pole on the second round. He'll know what to do. That's all the instructions I got. So off we went. Sure enough, he walked like an old saddle horse into the starting gates, pressed his nose up against the gates, and waited calmly until all the rest of the horses were loaded. And when the gates broke open, we came out in third place. First round, we stayed in third. Second round, going into the first curve, I got this panic attack thinking we have to win this race. I knew there was something big and gray behind us. So I hit him way too soon. Well, he just laid his ears back, just told me, shut her down, I'm doing this, I know what to do, this is my race, I'll run it the way I want to. You just sit up there and mind your business. Well, I couldn't believe it, because I went from fear, now I see that, fear and anxiety, to wondering what he was going to do. This horse was like on his own agenda here. He wasn't on listening to me at all. So as we got closer to the 5/8 pole, he saw it, and his ears just went forward, and I could just feel him tighten up, and it was incredible. I was only 14, but man, I've never felt anything like that before. We went past those two horses in front of us and won that race. I think someone told me by 7 lengths. I have never felt anything so amazing. To me, it might as well have been the Kentucky Derby. You know, the roar of the crowd was tremendous. When I jumped off of him, I don't think my feet touched the ground. It was amazing. Just a beautiful, beautiful day. And going home that night, I said to myself, you know, I don't want this day to ever end. It was just such a wonderful, safe, joyful feeling. I could hardly wait until the next time I would ride him. He was just my world. And I remember looking into his eyes, trying to see if there was any consciousness there, to see if he really knew what he was doing. Because it felt like he did. He had it all figured out. Nothing he didn't know, but how to run a mile race. So it was the best experience of my life. It was the calmness, the confidence, the trust. It all hit so fast within 2 minutes. And it's a feeling I hung on to for the rest of my life. So here's my song about a little fire. And sometimes it's hard to sing, but tonight I'm feeling really good. I'm sitting up here in the maple tree, just looking at my world. I'm caught up in a daydream. I hope there's nothing wrong, I don't see them coming back. Dad and Little Fire, he's a good horse, I rode him on the bush tracks. Little Fire was the finest horse that I'd ever ride. And I was just a kid and scared, but he was on my side. He wasn't like the others, they'd sometimes buck and bolt. He loved to run, he made it fun, and he knew about the 5/8 pole. That race was 1 mile long, which meant twice around the track. My fingers shook as I did up the jockey helmet strap. 2 horses in the race that day came from the bigger tracks. And Dad was proud and said too loud, they don't stand a chance. When the gates did crack, no looking back, first round we stayed in third. I got anxious and afraid, I thought we should move up to first. So I hit him with the whip as we went into the first turn. He just laid his ears back as if to say, hey girl, you got some nerve. Your dad told you to tap me once at the 5/8 pole. Besides, it don't make sense to pass on a curve, you know. I won't change my stride, I will at the right time. So why don't you just relax and for once enjoy the ride? Well, a pang of I quickly felt, I felt so bad. His ears astride, his strength told me I should have listened to Dad. His ears shot forward when that 5/8 pole came into view. His body tightened, his stride and lengthened, and his feet, I swear they flew. I remember looking into his big brown gentle eyes. With a joyful heart I hugged him, said I must apologize. You're the best horse in the world, and by the way, do you know, you beat two of the best around here. He just calmly ate his oats. That day stands forever in my memory, same as the day I sat up there in the maple tree. Well, they say heaven holds a place for those who stay the righteous course. How I hope that heaven would include a kind and faithful horse. So many fears, so many tears, yet so much joy inside. Still my life is all about learning how to ride. I take the time to look back, I won't give in or doubt. Take life in stride and make it smile and relax. Enjoy the ride. Take life in stride and wear a smile and enjoy the ride. I have to thank John Quinn and Larry Krause for making a songwriting workshop at the Country Music Association meetings. If it wasn't for that, I never would have written songs. And what a blessing it is to have a memory like that. It's the month of November 2010. I sat on the couch here, bawling my head off over this horse. I had 4 pages written, and then I had to make it into a song. And I just had to include it on my CD because I knew I'd probably never make another one. And I just treasure that memory. It's like it happened yesterday. And I don't think that day has ever really ended for me. And thank you for listening.